Hey guys, it's Brian, back for a long overdue video. I know it's been a while, but today I wanted to do actually a follow-up to a video that I had done a couple years ago. It was a paraplegic boarding a plane. And in that video, I was boarding onto a smaller plane, so I had to use what was called an aisle chair, basically a human dolly, where they strap you in, wheel you onto the plane just like your washing machine. And that is a pain in the butt, not to mention a lot of the times you get people that don't know what they're doing assisting you. So what I've found helps is just go with an airline that uses bigger planes. I typically fly with Southwest and they have larger planes. I think the smallest plane they use is a 747. Nice thing about that is you can literally wheel onto the plane from your wheelchair as long as it's fairly narrow, and you can pull up to one of the front seats and transfer right over. So that's really helpful. That saves a lot of hassle. And the nice thing about Southwest is they don't have assigned seating. So it's first come, first serve. Since you're in a wheelchair, you get to board first. So you always know that you're going to have access to that front seat. I really like that. Other thing I kind of just wanted to talk about is a few tips that I have for flying. If you are, packing, I like to pack the top of my suitcase with some padded material, whether that be socks and underwear. That way, when I'm wheeling through the airport, I can flip the luggage over on top of my lap and it protects my skin a little bit. The other thing is once you get there, you're gonna have to go through airport security. It's gonna be kind of like they're gonna treat you like you got a gun, basically, because it could be a good way to sneak something onto the plane. You can't go through a metal detector in a wheelchair because a wheelchair is metal. So they will pat you down, they'll do the full pat down. A lot of the times they will test your wheelchair and your hands for, I don't know if it's bomb residue or what, but once you get through that, it's fairly easy. You're gonna board your plane. Before you board, you really need to think about the bathroom situation, because you're not gonna be able to get up and go to the bathroom. I think that is the hardest part for me flying, is just that anxiety of knowing that I can't just get up and go. So you want to limit your fluids. If you're flying in the morning, I would probably avoid coffee or anything that's going to make you have to go. Try not to drink a whole lot of water. You can also use a condom catheter or something, just as some added peace of mind, or just a pad in your pants, whatever it'll be. So one more thing you might want to think about is just booking a direct flight. I know it's a little more expensive. You're going to have to worry about that, but believe me, it's worth it. You're not going to have to worry about layovers. Keep in mind you are the first one on the plane, but you're also the last one off the plane, because they don't want you blocking up the aisle. So if you have a layover that's not that long, you don't have as much time to get there. So book the direct flight if you can. I've only taken probably a maximum of maybe a 3.5 hour flight. So I'm kind of curious, anybody that's flown international, how does that work? Just kind of share with me in the comments if you can. How do you sleep? How do you go to the bathroom? What do you do with that? So anyway, we'll get started. Here we go. Okay, so as I roll up to the plane, the nice thing right here is there's not much of a threshold. You can really just roll right on. And this area on the 747 is a little bit wider, but what really matters is when you turn the corner right here. This space is much wider than it is on some of the smaller planes that I've been on. So once she gets the bag situated, I'm going to flip up the handle, and next thing I'm going to do is get my legs out of the way. It's a little tricky because there's not a whole lot of room to work with right there. You just got to kind of get them out of the way as much as you can. And of course, they're gonna try to help me transfer over, but I've done this once or twice, and I'm sure you have too. So once you do get your legs in the final position, I'm gonna pull off the seat cushion right there, and I'm actually gonna sit against the window on top of the seat cushion. Right there, I'm telling her to leave the wheel locks on because I don't want it sliding around underneath the plane. So next, I'm going to just slide over, and once I get my legs situated, that's the position I'm going to be in the rest of the flight. In this video, I'm using an aisle chair because the plane is slightly smaller. It's essentially just a human dolly with a seat on it. And these are used quite a bit, especially if there's a first class on the plane where you're going to have to go several rows back. This is really your only option. There's no way that wheelchair, even as small as it is, could fit down the aisleway. So I flip that down. Again, I'm going to leave the brakes locked so it's not sliding around under the plane. And this is pretty much the obnoxious part about these aisle chairs, is they really strap you in. I mean, you've got a loop over each shoulder, you've got a waistband, you're going to have to strap your legs in. This is a much bigger process than it was just rolling onto the plane. And again, there's this woman particularly doesn't really know. I don't think she's ever actually used this chair before. So that's the thing. Some airports have really good assistants where they're trained to assist people with wheelchairs. Other people, they just don't, So basically you've got to walk them through how this works. And I've done this before. It's also the same exact as a racing harness, and I've raced cars, so I know how that works. 2 over the shoulder. Then you're just going to buckle that and tighten the shoulder straps. So that's taken care of. Now I've got to strap my legs in. And this, like I said, is very overkill for the distance that I'm going. But by law, they have to do this for whatever reason. So I'm going to strap my legs in over the top of the knee. Kind of tricky because I can't hold them together. So really, you have to tell them what assistance you need, just like anything else. So we're going to go ahead and transfer onto the plane. I told her to go backward because it's a lot easier up over this bump to go backward, not to mention we're going to be turning a corner, so I didn't want to be, up in the pilot's area trying to swivel around. I may have been able to take my regular wheelchair on this plane, but at that time I didn't even know that could have been an option. So again, same situation. You're going to flip up the handle. Luckily, they've already done that for me. I'm going to sit on my seat. And one thing to note, I use a air-filled cushion. When you fly, you are going to be going up in altitude, which is actually going to make your air cushion fill up a little bit more with air. So one thing you might want to do is deflate your cushion a little bit before you get on the plane. That way, once you're up in the air, it's not rock hard, because that would pretty much defeat the purpose of sitting on an air-filled cushion. I just, personally, this gives me a little more peace of mind. So, pretty much that's it.